Hey, everybody, I'm Jeannie Walters, and we are back with another Experience Investigators webinar. We broadcast every Friday about a different topic within customer experience, sometimes live, sometimes here recorded. So if you don't want to miss anything, be sure you subscribe. Now, today we're talking about micro moments and why they matter. And for those of you who may be thinking, I don't know what a micro moment is, well, don't worry, we've got that covered too. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am Jeannie Walters. I have been in customer experience for more than 20 years and helped dozens of organizations improve their customers' experience to improve their bottom line results. We do this through training and speaking, as well as coaching and workshops, all sorts of things. Please check out the resources we have available at experienceinvestigators.com and feel free to connect with me on Twitter or LinkedIn or anywhere else. So today we're talking about micro moments. And the reason we're talking about that is because back in 2012, I actually delivered a TEDx talk. Back then I called them micro interactions. But now we talk about them as micro moments because these are moments along your customer's journey that might be neglected or overlooked. They might be those small things we don't really think about. But when we don't think about them, they can create either negative or positive experiences for your customers. Now, I have a few negative experiences to kick us off here. Now, this first one I did talk about in that TEDx talk, but I think it's such a great example of when we don't think about the entire customer journey, about all of those small touch points, what can happen. Now, this was at an ATM, and I had just moved back to the city of Chicago. And when I was waiting at the ATM for my card, this is the message that came up. Now, I'm sure when they were writing it, they thought, oh, we are dealing with your request. But me being back in this bustling city, kind of stressed out, I read it as kind of an angry response of, we are dealing with your request. And those are the types of micro moments that I'm talking about. These are the moments that if we don't think carefully and positively and proactively about them, then they can deliver something that actually erodes trust. It chips away at the trust that we have with the relationship. Now, imagine if you're not paying attention or if you're just not thinking through your customer's journey, some of the results of this. Imagine you were a parent at this school and you were pretty excited about literacy night, and this is the sign that went up. Now, of course, this can happen. People make mistakes, but this is a great example of how that would stop you in your tracks and make you second guess the relationship that you might have with a brand. A lot of times this shows up in error messages, in places where the customer is stuck. If we don't think about those moments and how to get them unstuck, we leave them with things that can be considered riddles. The dimensions after resizing are too small or too large. All you can do is hit OK. What is the customer supposed to do here? These are the types of micro moments that you can really dig into with techniques like micro mapping, where you really look at a certain part of your journey and dig in and figure out what is every interaction that can happen. What are these touch points that we should care about? Because if we don't sweat the small stuff, our customers will find somebody who does. Now, several years ago, I had a moment of frustration that I wanted to share with you because moments of frustration happen. But what we need to do is make sure we're investing enough positive micro moments into the relationship so that we can overcome these negative ones. And by providing a little moment of delight, a little moment of levity, that can go a long way. Now, several years ago, I have two sons. My second son was trying out for baseball. He wanted to play competitively. He's the kid on the field who actually told the other kids where they should be. He was not picking dandelions out in the outfield. He was intense, as you can see. And so when I heard about a certain league that other parents were raving about for kids like him, and then they said, registration ends tonight. So of course I race home, I get on the computer, and I start the process of signing up for this league for him. So imagine this is for 6, 7, 8-year-olds, right around that age. And imagine when I saw that in order to register, I had to scroll through 100 years in a dropdown in order to get him onto this team. Now, did that stop me from registering? No, it didn't. But it did give me pause. In fact, I called my husband over to the computer and said, "Look at this. This is crazy." And he said something that I think sums up why micro moments are so important. And he said, if this is how they run the site, how do they run the league? Those are the moments that matter. This is why we need to consider how to avoid these negative moments that erode trust and how to invest in the positive micro moments that actually build delight and levity, that actually invest in the relationship to build trust with our customers so that when hiccups happen, they just happen instead of causing a huge rift in the relationship. Now, this doesn't just happen through technology, even though those are several of the examples that we've shared. Now, I have traveled a lot. I'm sure many of you have too. And I had one of those long travel days. I ended up in the rental car parking lot. And even though I was supposed to be on the board, I was supposed to have priority, I had to wait in line. I got up to the kiosk and he said, your car is in about the last possible spot you can have. And so I schlepped across the parking lot. And as I opened the driver's side door, on the driver's seat was this card. It said low priority. Now, I'm sure they did not mean for me as a customer to see this. They did this because apparently the car was low priority, but it made me as the customer feel like that. Now, this is a micro moment that wasn't even supposed to be part of the customer's journey. But this is why it's so important to consider who you are as an organization. How do you deliver on your customer experience mission at every moment along the journey, both inside and outside? Because a lot of the things that we think will stay internal end up on a customer's seat right when they feel like they're already pretty low priority. But the good news is we can invest in some positive moments. We can look at, okay, what will go wrong maybe? What are some of those places where we need to give customers direction? And how can we do that with a little wink and a smile? One of my favorite examples is from Tumblr. Now, they basically, went down and said the tumble beasts were responsible for this. They even had artwork by the Oatmeal, who, for those of you who are familiar, is a pretty famous graphic artist. Now, it's just a moment where you have to laugh. Now, they probably have major stress on the inside trying to figure this out. But instead of telling customers just, we're down, you can't do anything about it, they offer this moment of delight, this moment of levity, and it's really something that people grabbed onto. In fact, this idea, these tumblebeasts, became a little bit of a meme, and people started appreciating when they saw them. This is not just about this type of technology where you need super expensive anything. This is about just causing something that makes somebody smile. Now, a couple years ago, I landed on a 404 page, which, by the way, why do we know what that means? It's because we all have landed on those pages that say page not found. And when you end up on a 404 page, you know you're kind of doomed. There's nowhere to go. There's usually no explanation. They can be very ugly, very unappealing. They don't match the brand at all. So when I landed on this one, I have no idea why. It made me happy. A crying Sasquatch. I don't know why. It just caused me this moment of delight. And that's the type of creativity, that's the type of moment of levity that we want to include in our positive micro moments. But what that means is actually thinking through the journey on a really detailed scale. It means thinking through what is somebody actually seeking in this moment and how can we help them? So we took our own medicine here. And if you land on our page 404 or our page not found on our Experience Investigator site, you'll find that we put some thought into this. We wanted to give people direction on, okay, what could you be looking for? What are some of the more common things that users are seeking on our site? How can we direct them there? And then, of course, our logo, the beautiful crane that I love, our flying crane ran into another kind of crane. So it's a little wink and a nod, and it's also something that you don't get into a dead end with. which is what so many negative micro moments are. They're simply dead ends for the customer. Now, another great example is this one from Bonobos, who basically says, okay, you want to unsubscribe? That's great. Here are some options. Here are some ways you, as the customer, can have control. And they use language that is fun, little, tongue in cheek, something that makes you want to read it instead of just once a week, every few months, etc. They put a little thought into this. It feels like their brand. It feels like something that is from a human to a human. And that's something that we should also look for in creating these positive micro moments. I'm so passionate about micro moments because we've all had those moments where you have to laugh, you have to smile because the brand tried just a little harder. And just this week, I was filming some things here and I had rented some equipment, or the client had rented some equipment, and we had to package it all up and send it back. And I'll tell you what, that's kind of stressful. I am not a professional camera person, so putting expensive cameras back in boxes and things like that, it's a process. And not only did they send all the instructions for how to do that, but they also included these little packages in every box that also had packing tape so that we had the right amount of packing tape. But the packing tape has this great verbiage on it that goes on and on about why this is just a piece of tape, but it should come in handy. You're doing great. At the end, it just says, you are the best. Now, super simple, right? Something that they're already going to send the tape. So why not print on it and make their customer smile? That's the type of micro moment that if we can invest in, if we can build that trust, then we can overcome those negative moments with our customers because the negative moments will happen. So this is about more than just being creative. This is about more than just because you want to cause delight. This is about making sure that you have enough emotional investment in the bank so that you can overcome those negative moments with your customers, retain them longer, and all those things that we're looking to achieve. Because really, when it comes down to it, every micro moment is a chance to brighten somebody's day. We know that negative things will happen. People will land on your 404 page. They will need error messages. Why not look at those a little differently and think about what could we do to make them smile? What could we do to overcome something that could be a barrier to our customers' experience? How can we deliver for our customers in this very small moment so that they remember a moment of delight instead of a negative moment, or even not remember? So as you think about building trust in your brand through micro moments, remember that by investing in this, you can increase customer retention. You'll get those greater customer referrals. People talk about these things, right? I just told you about this one. I also told you about this one. So make sure that your customers are telling other customers about those positive micro moments that you have. We all want happier customers. We all want more referrals. And your employees will like this too. It gives them license to have fun and be creative. So invest in where you can with these smaller moments. Look for them in your journey and make sure that you're turning up the volume on those positive ones and that you're overcoming those negative micro moments by giving your customers some control and by offering at least a smile, if nothing else. Thanks for joining me to talk about micro moments. It's one of my favorite topics. I think it's so important and something we don't talk about enough. So the fact that you're here with me, that means so much to me because the mission of our company is to create fewer ruined days for customers. And by showing up and learning with me, you are helping deliver on that mission. So thank you. And if you are interested in more topics like this, you can subscribe. We have different topics every week that we dive into. You can also sign up for our Year of CX. Our Year of CX is a way to get resources, tools that you can use. You can download them every few weeks. We've been releasing them. Everything from workbooks and checklists to interactive calculators that you can use to improve your customer experience. So thank you so much for being with me today, and please feel free to reach out. I hope to see you on other Fridays when we're either live or recorded. But either way, please subscribe here so you don't miss it. Thank you.